Is your University Hills home gaining or losing value over the year 2024? Well, it's beginning of 2025 and all the numbers are out. I love digging through this to find out exactly what's going on in our neighborhood because what's going on as a whole in the Denver metro doesn't necessarily reflect our neighborhood. And we know there's three very distinct parts of University Hills. You got kind of that northern chunk over Yale, you've got the west parts and the east parts of Dahlia, and we're going to break that down all for you here. And in case you don't know me, my name's Alex Saldana. I've been a local Denver agent since 2010. I've lived in University Hills for about the last 10 years or so, and I love digging into the numbers. Interest rates have been really goofy over the last couple of years, and I know that's the big headlines out there. There's not a whole lot for sale, not a whole lot selling. Now we're going to break this down into four basic chunks, actually, all of University Hills, and then we're going to do the west side of Dahlia, east side, and northern side. This is the actual 100% data. So starting out with homes sold. In 2024, we sold 152 total homes. Now you can see in 2023, we only sold 121, but then going back 2022, we sold 177 and even more in 2020 and 2021. So this is the information that you're seeing out there in the headlines is that not a whole lot of activity is happening because, I mean, compared to 4 years ago, we're down 75 homes sold, so almost 50% in the amount of homes being sold. But we are up well from last year, which is good to see. Now, if you were to put your home on the market, how long would it actually take to sell your home? Well, in 2024, it looks like the median days on market was 38. Okay. So we're talking 5 weeks approximately here. And again, there's going to be, great variations in here. It could be the first weekend. It could be 3, 4, 5 months. We've all seen stuff sitting a little bit longer. 2023 was 24 days on market. So we're up, 50% days on market year over year. Makes for a good headline, but really we're talking small numbers here. So, being on the market for another, 16 days, not a huge deal. If we're talking 90 days plus, all right, now we got something, going on. All right, total amount of active inventory. So this is when it comes to very seasonal trends, right? The lowest amount of inventory we have is generally from about November into about the very end of January, and then we start having the upswing of people putting their houses on the market, and that's what we're seeing here over the last 5 years. Is usually the low points is in January, and then the peaks generally happen around June or July, sometimes September and even October in the case of 2024. So when we're looking at the last 5 years of data here, we're seeing that we've had a lot more active inventory this year than we have for any of the past 4 years. Okay. So keep that in mind. There is more stuff coming to the market and more stuff sitting around because with interest rates being around 7%, it's kicked a lot of buyers out of the market. All right. Now the close price, what everybody wants to know. We are down median close price year over year down to 584, down from 595. So down about $10,000, $11,000, down from then 2022 at 600. But again, these are median prices, and because not a whole lot is selling, these numbers can be skewed really easily. Denver year over year is up about 5 to 6% on average, right? But it's house by house, not a whole ton has sold. So it's easy for numbers to get skewed. Now, I know we're talking median prices in the entire neighborhood. So this is what I'm going to offer for you guys, just for you guys in University Hills, is to scan this QR code and you're going to get your instant home value, right? So it's going to separate you just from these generic numbers. Now, when you do that, if you do that, I sign up for a very in-depth home report. Okay. I'm giving this to University Hills neighbors here, and I'm not giving this out to everybody. And what this does is it breaks things down quite a bit more in depth than just your typical, Zillow Zestimate type of thing. Let me show you real quick. So when you request your home value, I'm going to see that information, right? And I'm going to set you up on this home report. And it'll come down month by month and break down with much more accurate data than, like I said, Zestimate or Redfin or anything like that. And then it'll show you, how much you're increasing or declining month over month. and it breaks down into a bar chart, shows you the actual nearby sold properties that this is based off of, right? Again, much smaller footprint here. And then it also does track your current mortgage, how much equity you have in the property, how much you've paid towards the principal and the interest. So this gets quite a bit more into kind of a consulting sort of deal with you. And then, it'll show you if you were to do a refi, whether it's a 15-year, 30-year, what you could save potentially on your mortgage. Now, granted, rates are high right now, but they should start dropping in the next 12 to 24 months. And so, what does that look like if you have bought in the last year or two? And then, of course, if you were thinking of making the move, right, how much could you afford based on your current equity to either move up, downsize, or potentially, get a HELOC and work with an investment property. And this will come to you automatically month after month. So again, this is my gift to you, absolutely free. Just scan that QR code. If you have any questions on it, my phone number will be down in the description below. Just feel free, text me, call me, whatever. Happy to help in any way I can. Now, getting onto the supply and demand part of it, months of inventory is a number that we track closely. Okay. A standard market where it's kind of balanced between buyers and sellers is around 4 to 6 months of inventory. Meaning, if no new houses were to come on the market today, it would take X amount of months to sell out of that inventory, right? 4 to 6 months is a balanced market, quote unquote. Now, for the past 12 years, we've been in a very hyper seller's market. Okay. There's been 1, 2, maybe 3 months of inventory max. And we can see that back in 2020, 2021 here is that we were hovering even a couple of weeks of inventory. And then starting in 2022, when rates started to go up, we can all of a sudden see, boom, spike up 5 months of inventory, almost 6 months of inventory here in the late summer months in University Hills every single year since rates started to increase. So just know, depending on when you list your home for sale, March and April are statistically the two best months to be a seller because there's still not a whole lot of inventory, but yet buyers are already starting to compete. Once you get into the later months of summer, July and August, there's a lot more options for people, and things are going to take a little bit longer to move. And then we're going to look at list to close price ratio, meaning if you were to list your house for $1 million, what does it sell for, right? If it sells for 950, then you're at about a 95% list to close price ratio. And why that's important is, we can see back during COVID years, we were selling for 103, 105% of normal, from list to close price. Now, what we're seeing is even in November of this year, it looks like we were closing at about 94% of list to close price. So if you listed for $1 million, you were probably closing at about 940 or so. Okay. So keep that in mind. Lots of things are selling below their list price these days, depending on how aggressively you price your home. So now we're going to break down University Hills into its 3 different quadrants, right? Starting with the west side of Dahlia here, from Yale down to Hamden, from Colorado over to Dahlia. Okay. So this is the more expensive side of University Hills, as we know. And back in 2024, the amount of homes sold was 47. So pretty on par with 2023, 2022. Doesn't hold a candle to 2021. That was just a crazy year. Okay. Days on market for the west side of Uhills went up to 47. So you went from 21 days on market on average to 47, right? So that's above the norm for University Hills and for Denver as a whole. So expect 6+ weeks if you're on the market on the west side of Dahlia. Now it's going to differ if you're, a $2 million home versus a $750,000, 1960s ranch. So just keep that in mind. The amount of active inventory on the west side, we can see, look at this spike here. So in, what is this, August-ish, September of 2024, we had 23 active on the market, where in January we only had 4, right? This is just following the trend seasonally. And this year was a big year of a spike in inventory. Now, how much of that is because of new build properties? Well, we're going to go look at that here in a second. And then on to your median close price. So even though inventory spiked up big, all is not lost, because the median close price on the west side of Dahlia went up to 875 from 700,000. That is quite a big jump, right? Lots more new builds were completed, lots more selling in that upper, above 2 million mark. And so the numbers follow it, right? So that is a pretty drastic change. All right, now the east side. So we're talking Dahlia to I-25 from Yale down to Hamden. We're looking at the number of homes sold here year over year was up to 65 from 50, but down. Look at back in 2020, 98 properties sold on the east side of Dahlia in 2020. We're up to 65 year over year. So better than 2023. Hopefully, we're going to remain on an uptrend here. Days on market up to 38, up from year over year, 24 days on market. So following the trend of things taking longer to move. And then the amount of active inventory, we've been steadily increasing on the east side of Dahlia, right? As prices increase, east side of Dahlia is a lot more rentals than the west side is. Uh, it's starting to not make sense to hold on to these rentals anymore that are worth 500 plus $1,000. It's going to take you a long time to make that up versus just selling it, cashing out your $200,000-300,000 in equity from when you bought it 15 years ago. And getting rid of the headache of being a landlord, right? So we're seeing a lot of these rentals turn into sales for young couples, right? So on the east side of Dahlia, we generally range anywhere from 10 to about 20 on the market at any given time. Okay. And then for the median close price, we are up 15,000. So we went from 530 up to 545, but that's still down from 2022, the median price being 600,000. Okay. Then let's talk about the north side of Uhills, as there's been a lot more new builds there, a lot more things going on. I mean, all the townhomes and things like that they've built there has been kind of unbelievable in the last handful of years. There's just a lot more activity going on over there. So year over year, the amount of homes sold went from 27 up to 40. I'm still surprised. Back in 2020, we were selling 76 a year in that part of town, but up, just following the trends like everything else is year over year. Days on market, 29 versus 28, so similar, but a lot of these were new builds that were done. And so they're already kind of planned as far as sales go. So I'm not surprised that there's not much of a change there. The amount of active inventory, getting a little bit up there, but not as much as January in 2020. I'm really interested in that. So anywhere from 10, 15 on the market at any given time, again, north of Yale there. And then the median close price is down a little bit year over year. So down to 576 from 600, from then 600 in 2022. So down 25,000 year over year. So now to cover what's been going on with new builds in our neighborhood, this doesn't show the current projects going on single family, but this shows us everything that was sold that was built in 2023 or 2024. And we can see, I mean, it's kind of a smattering here on the west side of Dahlia, and we can see price wise, 2.3, 1.8, 2.3, 2.2. We kind of see a trend here, right? 1.9, 2.1. That's virtually what all the new builds are going for, right? Depending on size, finish levels around that 2 million, little bit over mark. In the last 12 months, there were 30 approximately that are either active, under contract, or closed that are considered new builds. Now, in the whole neighborhood, I believe there were 150 approximately sold. So darn near 20% of all properties that were closed in the last 12 months were new build properties. That's pretty high. Now, this is going to be a quarterly report that I come out with just for University Hills. Now, this is the year-end wrap-up, so it's much bigger than what quarters 1, 2, and 3 are going to be for 2025. But if you have any questions at all, here's my cell phone. You can call me, text me whenever. I'd be happy to chat with you about what's going on in your neighborhood or just answer whatever questions you got. Now, if you want to make sure that you don't miss the next quarterly updates, go ahead, scan this QR code. When it's looking for your home evaluation, you have the option to put in your email address, and I'll make sure to put you on my quarterly market report so you can make sure you know what's going on in the neighborhood coming up in 2025 here. And if you want to know what's going on in the entire Denver metro area, go ahead, watch this video. It's a monthly report that I do on my channel that's public to everybody to kind of keep everybody posted on the bigger news in our Denver metro real estate market.